Hey guys, we're talking about harnessing your strengths today. And don't mind the airplanes flying overhead. I live right next to an airport and they're constant, so just try to tune those out if you can. Harnessing our strengths. And I'm mostly talking about harnessing our strengths in the realm of work. This can also mean your work as a parent or your work in your hobbies or your volunteer work, whatever. But I'm going to be using the term work. And wanted to talk about how in this society, we all very easily fall into the trap of working the way that we think we should rather than the way that we're built for or the way that most resonates with us. And that in this society, it's kind of like this hustle mentality that the harder you work and the longer hours and the more, work time you put into your work, the better of an employee you are. And a lot of us don't work best in that kind of routine or those kind of hours. And so I wanted to propose that working for some of us is going to be more like ease and flow incorporated in our work style. And I wanted to talk about how possible this is and how beneficial this is to change up perhaps your mentality of work and maybe how you work, the hours that you work, the time that you work, and just talk about those kinds of things. And also wanted to bring up success as well, because that kind of goes with work, at least in this culture. You work hard so that you can be successful. And how this society mostly sees success is often if you just imagine success, don't you see status symbols and certain kinds of clothing, maybe certain kinds of hairstyles, maybe certain kinds of cars, houses, almost like status symbols. I don't know. This could just be my interpretation, but I'm pretty sure a lot of us agree on this. And something that I want to propose about success is that for all of us, those aren't the things that we deeply want to chase. Some of us, to be successful is having a loving relationship and a healthy body and mental energy, waking up happy, and being in nature every day. To some of us, that is a successful life. And so I wanted to just bring that up because I might say the word success here and there, and just take that to mean what success means for you. And why are you working? If you're working to get success, what is success for you? And, just to think about that and maybe identify that, and that our own path of success is what we want it to be. And also wanted to bring up, while we're working, how beneficial it is to use our strengths. And by strengths, I mean our natural strengths, our innate strengths, those things in us that we can tap into to get into a flow state. So for some of us, that could mean deep analytical problem solving. Some of us get off on that stuff, and whereas others, physical labor is the kind of work that they can get lost in. Or others might be more of a researching kind of mindset and just digging deep into information. Some of us might be more healers, and so compassion is something that we want to tap into with our work. So using our strengths in our work, and rather than using other people's expectations in our work. So I just wanted to bring that up also. Examples of aligning with your strengths might include some of the following things, like working during the time of day that you feel most creative or productive. So some people wake up rearing to go. That's when they have the most clarity, the most energy. Other people, I know, I am not one of these people, but I know a bunch of people that get their second wind at 11 p.m. and then can work from 11 p.m. till 2 in the morning. And that's where they get their best work done. And the people specifically that I know are the more creative types that do that. I don't know what that's about, and maybe that's just an anomaly or my own experience, but regardless, use the time of day that you feel the most like productive or creative or disciplined or whatever it is that you need to get your work done. Another thing is to work with a schedule that suits you. So not just the time of day, but also the schedule of your tasks that you complete in that time of day. So for example, some of us need to switch up our topic or our subject or our activity or project that we're working on every like 45 minutes. So do a chunk of something here and then hop over to another chunk of something else here and kind of have this ADD approach to it, but working on things still in a systematic way, but where we can jump from project to project and then jump back to this one and where everything's kind of growing together. And some people really thrive with that kind of like work style, whereas others will pick one thing and just, I was gonna say beat it to death, but I kind of like slog it out, you know, for as long as it takes until the completion of that task or activity or project is done. So maybe that means working through the night, whatever that means for that person, but maybe that's their style of working. So choosing the schedule of working that fits you best, where like your attention can stay on it and your productivity can be the highest like during that work time. Another thing is using your creativity, or like I mentioned before, or your logic or your understanding or your compassion. So using those innate skills that you have and those like maybe gifts, skills, talents that bring you the most satisfaction, where you can kind of like lose track of time, and use those in your work. Also having an environment that suits you, whether it's relaxing, challenging, compassionate, or utilizing your determination and grit. So if you are more on the compassionate side and you want to use your healing skills, you probably wouldn't be maybe you could be working a corporate job actually, like maybe they need that, but you might not be working in the way that I think of a corporate job, you know, or like, whereas if you're full of determination and grit, you might not be working in like a more, I don't know, soft skills job. Hopefully I'm making sense. I'm making sense to me, but if you are wanting to use your creativity in a job, you're not going to work in a job that tells you exactly what to do step by step, whereas other people might love that. So to make sure that you're choosing an environment that best suits your own innate interests and ways of working. Aligning with your strengths is more about how it feels. So aligning with your strengths isn't following like an exact pattern. It's not an exact science even. Aligning with your strengths is more about increasing that feeling of flow while you're working. So increasing that feeling of like satisfaction and enthusiasm. And if you head in those kind of directions, then that's gonna put you in a state where you're working in alignment with your strengths. And really only you can know this. No one else can tell you these things about yourself. Like only you really know what your aligned work environment and hours and everything would look like. And some of the obvious benefits of working in alignment with your strengths would be natural flow, because you would get more easily lost in your tasks and have more enthusiasm about them. And so you kind of lose track of time and like your day just passes doing more of what you like to do. You'd also have increased confidence because you're going to be working in your strengths. So you're like, I got this, because you can use that power that you have, use those gifts that you have in your work and feel good about it. It increases your like self-value and self-worth, your self-confidence. Also, it would improve your innovation and creativity. So no matter what kind of job you have, you probably need to utilize innovation and creativity. Even if you're not like an artist or something like that, if you're a receptionist and you have a list of tasks that you need to do, you can still be innovative and creative with how you do them the most efficiently. You can be innovative with of how you like write post-it notes or like systematize your like scheduling or just examples. You can be more innovative and creative and tap into that, because that comes back a little bit more to that flow state where you're more like open and receptive to ideas whenever you're working in your strengths. And therefore you would also have more job satisfaction working in your strengths because you're going to enjoy more of your time. And I kind of touched on this before, but your happiness and your sense of meaning should guide you. And only you are able to determine what your happiness comes from and what your like sense of meaning and sense of purpose feels like, and what kind of things that you follow to create that sense of meaning, sense of purpose. So what brings that sense to you, you know? In the journey towards a fulfilling and successful life, the compass guiding your way should be your strengths, not societal expectations. So, in summary, it comes down to you, not what others are telling you that you should do. It's what do you feel aligned with? Like, where are you able to utilize your gifts and your strengths and use them in your work? Remember that your unique combination of talents and passions is what sets you apart. And so, you know, you probably don't want to live a life where you just get lost in the mundane and get lost in the monotony, and that you are able to use your talents and passions in your work. Part of doing this is embracing your authenticity, because your strengths are your authentic strengths. And you'll find a path that leads not only to success, but to a significant feeling of purpose. I have some coaching questions for you. I have 6 of them. So I'm going to go through them with you and just think about them, or you can pause between each question and write it down. These are also in my blog, so if you want to see a written version of them. So 1, what activities energize you and make you lose track of time? What activities energize you and make you lose track of time? 2, what are the ways in which you prefer to work? Is it in bite-sized chunks? Or, like I mentioned before, slogging it out for hours at a time until the objective is complete? So, would you rather bounce around in your work or pick a thing and go straight for it? And what have you done in the past to reach a flow state and feel like energy is moving through you while performing that task? What in your history has given you that kind of feeling before? And in your past, what kind of schedules have helped you succeed, have helped you stay on track and keep your attention on the task? What does that look like? And what work environments make you feel the way you want to feel? So what kind of environment would you work in? Would it be one with a lot of people because you like having that hum and that buzz around you? Would it be completely alone, you know, like in your room or in your cubicle? Or like, would you like to work on your laptop in a coffee shop? Or like, what does your environment around you look like if you were thinking of your ideal like workspace? And what can you do today to incrementally shift yourselves towards that way of working? So what action can you take today that makes you be able to work more harmoniously with your strengths? So think about those things and let me know. And of course, if you need more help in how to think about designing your work life to better fit you and your innate strengths and abilities, then you know where to find me. All right, take care.